What are the top 10 causes of kidney stones? Stay tuned. My name is Dr. Blake Schusterman. I'm a board-certified nephrologist or kidney doctor, and I'm also the cooking doc. Everything we talk about here today is just information and education. This is not medical advice. Please discuss any changes in your diet or your health habits with your own doctor. Lots and lots of people have kidney stones. It's estimated that almost 20% of men and 10% of women will have had a kidney stone by the time they reach the age of 70. That's a lot of people and a lot of stones. In the United States, the biggest prevalence of kidney stones is in the southeast, and that's where a combination of diet and weather factors create a perfect storm for kidney stone formation. Now, a quick kidney stone 101. 70 to 80% of kidney stones are made of a thing called calcium oxalate. The remainder of kidney stones are composed of things like calcium phosphate or uric acid or struvite and cystine. Those are less common. The type of kidney stone you have determines the exact risk factors for that type of stone formation. So, for example, calcium oxalate stones form with different risk factors and in different settings than things like uric acid stones or cystine stones. So it's important to know what kind of stone that you have. Now, what causes somebody to form these stones? Well, I think of stone formation not necessarily as related to causes, but more as risk factors. And the more risk factors you have, the more likely you are to form the stones, or the more significant of one risk factor you have, for example. So kidney stones form in the kidneys when the chemical composition of the urine gets to a point where the minerals like calcium and oxalate and phosphate come together and form that stone right in the middle of the kidney. You have to have the perfect environment for that stone to form. So here are the 10 things that I think are the biggest risk factors for somebody to develop kidney stones. How many of these do you have? Have you ever thought about these as risk factors for developing stones? Let me know in the comments. Number 1, low urine output. That typically comes from not getting enough fluid to drink during the day. And people who have kidney stones, and this again applies only to people who have kidney stones or at risk for a lot of kidney stones, should drink enough fluid so they make at least 2.5 liters of urine every single day. Number 2, high urine calcium. So essentially, if your urine has too much calcium in it, that means you have a higher risk of forming those calcium-based stones, like those calcium oxalate stones or those calcium phosphate stones. Now, believe it or not, but this is not usually from eating too much calcium. Actually, people with some type of kidney stones have to eat more calcium to prevent them. But we'll get to that at another time. Unless you're taking too much calcium supplements, it's usually not related to calcium in your diet. Instead, it's related to how your kidneys process the calcium. And sometimes it relates to medicine you're taking that can make you have more calcium in your urine. Number 3, low urine citrate. Now that probably means nothing to you, but when the citrate in your urine is low, the environment for a stone formation increases. That increases your risk. Now, only a 24-hour urine test can tell you what your urine citrate is, so you'd need that before you change your diet or change your medicines to increase the amount of citrate in your urine and lower your risk of stones. Number 4, high urine oxalate. So just as with the calcium, the higher the oxalate in the urine, the higher the risk of developing those calcium oxalate stones. Now, oxalate in the urine can come from things other than eating too much oxalate, just like the calcium. Some people's bodies just excrete more oxalate and they are at higher risk of forming those stones. But we can get into that in another video. And in fact, I talked about it with a nutrition expert on stones, and you can check out that video right here. Number 5, male biological sex at birth. So if you're a biological male at birth, your risk for stones goes up. Why is that? I really don't know, honestly, but it just is. Whether that has to do with diet or something along the way, it's not clear, but men, higher risk of stones. Number 6, eating too much animal protein. So the more beef, pork, oxtail, deer, goat, the more of that you eat, the greater your risk of producing stones. So less meat means fewer stones. and that means happier kidneys and less pain. Of course, lower animal protein is good for a lot of things, so this one is important. Number 7, eating a high sodium diet will increase your risk of stones. And this is one of my favorite adjustable risk factors that you have. So you can eat less salt and have less stones. So I always say the same things. Cook at home, learn to produce flavors without a lot of salt. Not only will you lower your stone risk, but you'll also lower your blood pressure. Yay! Number 8, your family history matters for this one. So if your mom Gemma and her sister Wilma and her brother Bob all had kidney stones, you are more likely to have an attack throughout your lifetime. Family history matters. Number 9, medications can actually increase your risk of stone. They can also decrease them, but certain medications can change the way that your kidneys excrete minerals. And when your kidneys are excreting minerals a different way, that can increase the risk of those stones forming with the way those minerals come together inside your kidneys. Lastly, number 10, if you've had a stone before, you are more likely to have a stone again. So having one stone puts you at risk for having a second or even a third bout of kidney stones. So those are the 10 biggest risk factors for developing kidney stones, and if you have any of those risk factors, the goal is to eliminate as many as you can. So of course some are unchangeable. You can't change your family history, your biological sex at birth, you can't change a lot of your medicines, but there are things that you can do. A lot of these things can be adjusted. First though, you need to know what your adjustable risk factors are, and this can be done by either having your kidney stone analyzed in a lab. It can also be done by having a 24-hour urine test done. Essentially, you record your urine in a jug for 24 hours, and that urine will tell us exactly how your body processes your minerals, how much salt you have, how much fluid you drank, and then we can look at that and we can change that into specific recommendations for you about how to lower your stone risk. Thanks so much for watching today. Nobody likes kidney stones. Kidney stones are painful, they're horrible, they can be recurrent, and even in the long term they can lead to kidney damage. So if you have kidney stones, pay attention to these risk factors. Have your 24-hour urine test evaluated, have your stone evaluated, find out what you can do differently to lower your long-term risk of kidney stones. Thanks so much for watching today. I'm Dr. Blake Schusterman. I'm a board-certified kidney doctor. Go right now to my website, thecookingdoc.co, for lots of good recipes and new health tips. Check out my book, The Cooking Doc's Kidney Healthy Cooking, a Modern 10-Step Guide to Preventing and Managing Kidney Disease, and I will see you next time.